people to like my video when I take a drink. Actually, it's hot apple cider tonight. Oh, hi, Mr. Archangel. Good to see you. I tried going live yesterday as well. So let me know what questions you guys have about rent relief, about unemployment, about sick pay. Hi, Pure Cosmos. Hi, Momo. Hello, everybody. I'm trying this in a couple different spots for the first time. Well, for the second time. I did this yesterday, so if it seems like I'm like not looking in the right place, that is probably why. Hello again, Mr. Archangel. I feel like I look terrible tonight. I've had a little bit of a rough day at work today. It'll be okay. So I'm hoping that you guys have some questions to distract me from. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. I'm just all in my feelings. And I have my skin. Something's up with my skin. Okay, here we go. So Lulu Vey says, I've been waiting for my rent relief since November, and they just tell me it's in the process, and your landlord keeps asking you. So that's happening to a lot of people. So what I would recommend is your assembly member can help with that. And on TikTok, I don't have it. I don't know how to have it linked, but you're going to go to hang on, let me look at the website. Let me make sure that I have it right. It is findyourrep.legislature.ca.gov. But if you just if you Google how to find my assembly member, it should take you to the information where you can find your assembly member, and then you're going to email them. They can sometimes help with that as well. I'm going to answer a question over here, and then I'm going to come back over here. Okay, so Michael says, I did my taxes the second week of February and got my refund the third week of February. Did not seem to have any issues, and I think that's because I've heard the warning and filed early. Yeah, that could definitely be. And if you're not getting the EITC tax credit, that is also one of the things that can slow down the tax returns. Hi, Debbie. Let me show Debbie. Debbie always likes an appearance from the little green man. I think he's got to be sad tonight, though. He might be sad all night. I don't know. Okay. Corrine says, if my employee doesn't provide a COVID test, can I deny the supplemental sick pay? So that's going to be, so I'm not an attorney, right? I'm going to say that. I'm getting my information largely from Google, but also from a California attorney. His name is Anthony Zallar. He spells that Zallar. He's on LinkedIn and he writes a lot of different articles. Since I'm not like an attorney, right? I'm not a legal professional. I'm not 100% sure. I suspect, my opinion is that you could ask them to provide those test results. And that but you need to do that. Like, if you do that for him, you need to do it for everyone, in my opinion. And normally you can't ask for people's health records, and things like that. But your company probably had everybody sign like a COVID kind of disclosure form. So if you've had them sign that already, then you should be good, but double check with a legal professional on that. Yeah, okay. Luluve, can I be evicted? So here's the thing. They can proceed, hi Lou, on this platform. So employers cannot require employer health records. That's what Mr. Archangel's saying. So that is generally true, right? But I'm not sure. There were a bunch of and I don't even remember what I signed, but at my company, there's paperwork specific to the pandemic related illness that I'm going to try not to say its official name on while I'm streaming, because the streaming platforms don't seem to like it. But basically, I know that the paperwork that I signed allows my company to take my temperature, when I go to work. And normally you can't take someone's temperature. You can't ask them anything medically in California, normally. Okay, Mr. Archangel, he's in the streams. He's new over on the Tube of You, but he's not on TikTok. He's not new there. I'm not sure what your profession is. Um, and unless, as for me, I'm not a legal professional, so I have to be really careful of the opinions that I share, and to like kind of guide you towards someone that can. So I do know that they require and ask are two different things. So they had to sign the paperwork. So basically the paperwork that I signed at my company, they like it allows them to ask about COVID only. Like this is the example that I gave my employees, right? This is really what I said at work. I'm a fun manager. I was like, let's say you're getting your unsa on at a club, right? And let's say that you go home with someone, and let's say you catch an STD, right? As an employer, I can't ask you about any of that. I can't touch that with a 10-foot pole, right? That is your business. Even if, let's say you got something, let's say that we shared a cup or a fork, like you don't have a fork and I let you use my fork or something. And I heard this story about you catching something from the club. If I'm your boss, like I wouldn't be able to confront you about that or anything, right? Like that, you can't ask people about their health. The Bain Act, people are saying. But there was paperwork specific to COVID. Dang it, I said it. Anyway, specific to this that is allowing employers to kind of discuss it. And like normally, let's say that you wanted to tell me about something health-wise, I'm supposed to really not pay much attention to that. But this paperwork that's pretty standard would at least allow me to tell like my HR representative within the company, so that then they could tell me how to proceed. You know what I mean? So anyway, let me share what Mr. Archangel's saying, that requiring and asking are different things. So you might want to ask them for it. But he's saying that Ben, I have had better days, quite honestly. Moon Time says bye. Hi, bye. Hi, Lou. Um, Mr. Archangel does HR and legal. We should go live together. I'm just really careful. And I know there's another YouTuber that I watch. His name is Minority Mindset, and he's an attorney. But even like when he says things that can be construed as legal advice, he's very careful to say, I'm an attorney, but I'm not your attorney. So, I would consult an attorney, maybe Anthony Zaller, maybe Mr. Archangel, if you want to shout out like your law firm. I'd be happy to like mention them, or I would just get professional legal advice on that, And I really, Karen, thank you so much for trying to do the right thing. I know that I had some comments on it was a TikTok that I made saying like my employer's not doing the right thing. And I just really want to say that I don't think that that's on purpose. I really think that it's a lot of information for employers to try and keep track of. I know like the company I work for, the HR team is not as big as it was before 2020. And we're a small nationwide company, but we're a nationwide company. And they're trying to keep track of California and Washington and New York and Seattle and everywhere. And it's a lot because it's so different. Mr. Archangel, thank you for clarifying where you worked to kind of like substantiate it. Lou, you're new. New Lou, do you have a question? Let me see if I have questions. Hi, Diamond Pikachu. I haven't seen you in a long time. Ben, I am okay. Miss Trujillo is saying, how long does it take to get your taxes? It's supposed to take 21 days, but there are a couple of situations where it's being delayed right now. One of the things is if you need the EITC tax credit and you're not using this year's income. I think if you're using 2019 income to qualify, which you're allowed to do, I think that's causing delays. Also, if you've somehow incorrectly calculated the amount of child care tax credits, advanced child care tax credits that you've received, that's also causing some delays. Okay, somebody wants to know what days are good to call the California EDD. None. That's the truth of the matter. They are closed today. Mr. Archangel is saying Tuesday and Wednesday. I tend to agree with that. I actually think that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday are also really good days. Sunday are not good days. Because that's certification day, and the EDD is going to start closing on Sundays starting March 3rd. Starting March 3rd, the California EDD is going to have reduced hours. They won't be available. The customer service reps won't be available on weekends. And then what's the other thing I wanted to say about that? They're going to have reduced hours Monday through Friday as well. They're going to shut at 7 instead of 8. And then you don't ever want to call on Monday. They were closed today because it was President's Day, but Monday is the day after certification day. So that's when the people are going to have the most questions. Andrew wants to know, Claimer. Claimer does still work. Oh my goodness. And I didn't have a chance to look into that other service. What did I do all day yesterday? I watered some plants. This thing is like a jewelry rack, and I untangled some necklace. I was messing around. I didn't do what I needed to do yesterday, but I'll look that up today for sure. Claimer dials the EDD. They also now call the IRS. If you have questions for the IRS and can't get through, they will call if you have a state disability claim. I'm so sorry. Autism Matters. You're waiting for an answer from me. Let me see if I see the question. Oh, you know what? I have my settings all weird again. So I need to change it from top chat to all chat. Okay. And I'm also I'm broadcasting this on 2 different places. And let me know if that's not a good idea, if you guys don't like that format. So I'm trying to take a question back and forth and back and forth. Prince Ali says, oh, Claimer is still a thing. Wow, I thought people were past that nightmare of having to use it. No, they're not. And now the EDD is reducing their hours. So the EDD, right? People hate Claimer, right? Because they don't want to have to pay to call the EDD, which is a fair point. I agree. But I don't blame Claimer. That guy's like a genius, sort of. He saw a need and he filled it. I blame the EDD for not being able to properly answer the phone lines. Okay, so I'm going to take a question from over here and then I'm going to come back to you guys. Okay, so Paramore Squad, I hope you're still in here, says, oh, I didn't say your name right, and then I just lost the question. Uh-oh. Da, 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 da. Hi, Nancy. Where should I send my EDD appeal? You know what? So I've had a couple people ask me that. They're saying that they don't have the address to send in their EDD appeal. It's supposed to be on the return envelope, I thought, but since I've had a lot of people tell me that, I do have a contact at the EDD. I will ask them. I was led to believe that there's different appeal offices kind of based on the area that you live in, because think about it, before 2020 you had to do your appeal in person. So you would need to send your letters to that appeal office. I will try and find out, I'll try and get a master list of all the EDD appeal offices, and I will try and get that information for you. Also, to the person asked about the really cute sweater that I was wearing yesterday, I did link that in my link tree. I love that sweater too. It's kind of this color, and but they appear to be out of that color. They had some other cute colors in there. Okay. And a lot of people, let me talk a little bit more about the EDD appeals. Even though it's a pain to get through to the EDD, I actually do recommend calling maybe even twice and asking to speak to a tier 2 representative. So a lot of times they're accidentally or mistakenly marking the claim as disqualified for benefits when really the documentation that you sent should be acceptable. And once you call and speak to a tier 2 rep, some people are telling me that the first time they call, that the people are not friendly and not helpful, but hopefully, like, after that first time, hopefully they will respond and help. Okay, I'm going to take a question from over here now. Let's see. Rosa says, I'm running a fever, sore throat, plus a runny nose. Today when I was at work, they told me they won't pay me because I have to be positive. So I don't think that that is true. I'm not running the thing. I have to look into it again. I don't think that that's accurate. I need to reread it. Also take a test, and if that comes back positive, then they should pay you that pay. I Do you have any other regular sick pay available to you? I need to read those guidelines again about the supplemental sick pay. That doesn't sound right to me though. Okay. Ben says the EDD is from the depths of hell. At least that's what I felt about it then and still now. Yes. Ben, how's your new job? Have your feet recovered? Are you used to that now? Okay. Autism Matter says it sucks having autism and dealing with the EDD. It does. And I think you did say that you reached out to your assembly member. That's really a good resource for a lot of people. Oops. Okay. I'm going to take one from this side now. Okay. Moni is saying claimer is the best. Yes. Pure Cosmos saying I'm recommending not withdrawing your appeal. Yeah, I think I would recommend that as well. Okay, so this is my opinion on what you should do if you sent in your appeal and then you talk to a customer service representative and they tell you that it's totally like fixed and then you're thinking maybe you want to withdraw your appeal. I wouldn't. I would let it go through. Also, a lot of times the paperwork that they're getting, if they get paperwork that substantiates your claim, even sometimes if you send the same paperwork and say, hey, this was on the list of approved documents, but I'm sending it, here it is again, and maybe you found some receipts or some invoices to also include and send to them to further validate your claim. If they can tell that they don't need to make you go through the whole appeal process, they won't make you go through the whole appeal process. Okay, but yeah, I don't think I would officially withdraw it. I would let them do that. Oh, Mr. Archangel would like me to remind everybody that the IRS is on East Coast time. So that's for if you're trying to call them to fix an issue or get clarification on something. That's also, even if you guys use Claimer, Claimer will dial, I think it's 10 times for free if you get disconnected, whatever, within a 48-hour time span. But, okay, Debbie doesn't like the multiple formats. You can't see the question, so it's confusing, and then I go back and forth. That is good feedback. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe it's a little bit hard for me to keep up with too, so I think maybe if I actually like YouTube, don't ding me for this. I like the format on TikTok a little bit better. For me, it's easier to read the questions, and I feel like I don't get as far behind. But I notice myself like looking back and forth, and it's kind of weird, and I don't want it to detract from your experience either. Yeah, and then the TikTok people can't see the YouTube questions, and YouTube can't see TikTok's questions. So yeah, my back is hurting from work, Ben. Okay, so Rosa, you just started working a month ago. That doesn't matter. The amount of time that you work for your employer has nothing to do with whether you would qualify for supplemental sick pay or exclusion sick pay. They would need to offer that to you. If so, supplemental sick pay, though, that is for employers who have more than 25 employees. Exclusion pay does not say that that requirement. Mr. Archangel, I'm curious if you know if you've heard anything different. Okay, 556 Ruby is saying this is from the other platform, and this is about sick pay, exclusion pay. She's saying that you can file for workers' comp, or am I still a total loss those 10 days? I'm not as familiar with that, but I have heard you can collect workers' comp if you're not at work due to the illness. So you can definitely try that. Okay. Now let's see here. What else do I have going on? Oh, I might be caught up actually on both things. This also keeps me busy though on both platforms, which I like. Okay, so from the other platform, Mr. Archangel is saying that you have more of a plus by doing the appeal and getting reduced payback or getting it waived. Yeah, also, so even if you know that you owe an overpayment, there's a chance that if you appeal it, that the judge would actually say, oh, no, you don't owe it. Possible, depending on the circumstances. And then, even if the judge does say, yeah, you owe this overpayment, you can request an overpayment waiver. And again, they are talking about some situations that would get a blanket overpayment waiver. And there's like 7 conditions where, and a blanket overpayment waiver just means that they'll forgive it for everyone who has the same situation. You don't need to fill in any additional paperwork or anything like that. Um, they're just going to waive it for everyone, or they're supposed to. The EDD, you can never quite believe what they say. I always take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. But so the first 2 conditions for them to grant overpayment waivers usually are that the overpayment needs to have occurred through no fault of your own, and it needs to create a financial hardship in order for you to pay it back. Micho. Okay, when I point this way, that's YT, and when I point this way, that's TT. Okay, so from this way, Micho says, if I received a notice stating my uploaded documents were sufficient, is that it? Yes, that you should be done now, hopefully. Okay, now over to this one. Nancy says, my son just got laid off. Will he qualify for unemployment? Potentially. So Mr. Archangel's asking a really good question. You need to have at least $1,300 in earnings in your highest earnings quarter with that employer, and or also if you're not out of your old benefit year, like let's say that your benefit year doesn't end until April, May, June, July. If you're still within your original benefit year and your claim balance is 0, unfortunately right now you wouldn't qualify. But in your situation, I kind of recommend like applying and seeing if you qualify and then kind of go from there. Micho, I think yeah. So I got to yours, Micho. It was just a little bit delayed. But yes, you should be done. If you got the notice letting you know that your PUA, proof of employment, proof of self-employment, proof of work documents were accepted, then yes, that's pretty much it. Oh, yeah. So, Mr. Archangel, you kind of know, I think, because I was talking about it last week, I don't normally do 2 platforms at once. And actually, over on YT over here, I have like this little, I had somebody make me a custom emoji. I'm going to see if I can like load it up. Which one is it? It's this one. But I don't tell my future employers this. So, like, I don't know if you can, it's me winking, going, I can multitask. I cannot multitask unless you're a prospective employer, in which case I am wonderful at multitasking. um, you can improve that. So yeah, it helps because some people have more issues with TT versus YT streaming. You're watching them all, so it helps people who see. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to try out TT, and I had to go on TT last week because my regular, I don't know if it was my computer or what it was. I think it was my computer. My roommate said something about some bridge. I don't know. I'm also not great with tech unless you're a prospective employer, in which case I absolutely am. I can use Google, so I can figure it out. It might take me a minute, but I can figure it out. But my roommate found something with some weird bridge or something, and so they took that off. But yeah, last week I had to go because it like wasn't working right. Okay, let's see over here. Wait on the hearing notice. I would wait. The judge can say it was the EDD's fault and waive the overpayment. Yep, that's a possibility also. So yeah, I would recommend that. All right, what other questions do you guys have about your unemployment claims or your 1099-G taxes or that supplemental sick pay or rent relief? I know a lot of people are waiting on rent relief. They are still taking applications for rent relief, but they are backed up on actually issuing the funds and approving those applications. Um, they're waiting on additional funding. So it is backed up, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't still apply. Hi, Nancy Lee. Am I butchering your name? I feel like, oh, worked for 4 months. Yeah, that seems. Hi, Sig. Thank you for the likes. Hello to you. Any EDD questions? Nope, it doesn't seem like there are. Have a good night, Debbie. See, the little green man's going to be sad that you're going, but that's okay. It's 9:27. When does COVID pay begin in California? So actually, it is now in effect again, the supplemental sick pay. I believe it's worded as up to 80 hours of sick pay for supplemental sick pay that they're offering. And if you got exposed in the workplace, Mr. Archangel, maybe you know if I'm reading this correctly, right? It seems to say, my interpretation of what I read was that if the exposure came from your workplace or if you tested positive from the workplace, that in that situation, they would need to pay you exclusion pay first before making you dip into the supplemental sick pay. I'm wondering if you read that the same way that I did. And the exclusion pay has been in effect for a long, long time. And exclusion pay, which is unfortunately not for anybody in the health care profession. I'm going to get to this. How should I write out the appeal question in a second? Okay, I'm going to put up my finger. When I do this, it means I'm trying to remind myself something. Mr. Archangel is saying that I'm correct. Okay, so exclusion pay. Oh, thank you for the roses. I really appreciate that. So when I do this, it means I have to remind myself of something. So yeah, basically, like if you caught it from your job or you got exposed because of your job, they need to pay you. And the exclusion pay is, from my understanding, for employers of any size, but it doesn't apply to healthcare workers or basically not firefighters either. Basically, anybody who is like at risk of having like respiratory issues regularly wouldn't be covered by the exclusion pay. Now, if you were just out at the Unsa 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 dance club and you caught it from a friend and you hadn't been at work for like even 2 days, and then on, that morning you went and you got a test, it came back positive, your work could probably say, oh, you probably didn't get it here. But in that case, that would be supplemental sick pay because you still should not go to work. Your employer needs you to not go to work if you've had a positive test. But if you didn't contract it in the workplace, then that's when the supplemental sick pay would kick in. That is only for employers who have 25 or more employees. And this is why, like, it's a lot to keep track of. Okay, so if it's this rule and this many employees, it's this. And if it's that many employees and you contracted it in this way, and see, that's why, Mr. Archangel, like, I did read with the exclusion pay, it needs to be contracted in the workplace. And if you even think that you contracted it in the workplace, the burden of proof to prove that you didn't catch it in the workplace is on the employer. So maybe I'm not saying to do this, you shouldn't lie. You got to be honest. But like if you're in the Unsa 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 club and you caught it, it would be on, but you said you got it at work, your employer would have to try somehow to prove that you didn't. Anyway, okay, I'm going to do a question from over here, and then I want to do one here. So, okay, Araceli is saying that they're not sure the 1099 can be used for self-employment. So this depends on what you're talking about in terms of the 1099. So there's different types of 1099s, right? And I know this a little bit because I used to drive for Uber, not because I'm any kind of tax professional or anything like that. I'm not a legal professional. I manage a movie theater in my regular job. I just got really good at reading this legal jargon to try and break it down for people. And I know about 1099s. Now I get one from YouTube. And I drove for Uber for a while. There are lots of different kinds of 1099s. The type of 1099 that we get from the EDD to pay that we use when we're paying our federal taxes, that's a 1099G. And that wouldn't, so the ones that we get from EDD would not prove self-employment. This is not flattering lighting or an angle. I got to work this out. What can I do to put my, I'm like, I want to look pretty on camera. What's going on here? Anyway, I don't know. I probably look that bad in person. And also I've got some skin stuff. Okay, back to the questions. So now if you have like a 1099K or a 1099 MISC, those would potentially be used to prove self-employment. Also, if you're wanting to send a 1099G to the EDD to prove that you were self-employed, that also wouldn't be the best thing to send. Okay, so Araceli is saying, I have a friend that works for IHSS, but she cares for her own son. At the end of the year, she doesn't get a W-2 because it's her own son. Yes, so that is work. That should prove earned income. She earns that income. It doesn't really matter, at least as far as I know, that it's her own son. That's a job, and that's a hard job. And I think that it's really commendable that it's done by a family member. I think it takes a really special person to do that. So one, that's very sweet of your friend to do that for her son, right? Very important job. So, at least as far as I understand it. So that would be the type of 1099. I'm not sure which one that would be, but that's employment. I hope that they're not trying to say that should be fine. Check stubs should be fine. I would also include, I'm not a professional. Oops. So double check on that. Like, I hope the EDD isn't trying to say something to the effect of like, oh, well, you were going to be home anyway with him, so we're not going to pay you. You know what I mean? Like, hopefully they're not doing that. I think it counts. I do, but I can't promise that for sure. Johnny. Okay, I'm going to go back to the appeal. 1 second. Let me do Johnny's and then I'm back over here to the appeal. Okay. So, Johnny says, sadly, I'm still unemployed and next month my unemployment expires. Can I renew it again for the second year? Probably not. Even once you're I'm just being honest with you. I do not take any pleasure in saying that. But to have 2 consecutive back-to-back unemployment claims, you'd also need to have some reattachment to the workforce. There's 2 requirements. Hi, Herbert. I don't know. I had a rough day at work. I was a little weepy at the start of this live, but your questions and helping you guys, like, honestly cheers me up. Okay. So, and PUA, if you were self-employed, that program has totally ended. Thank you, Mr. Archangel. I should give you I should give you moderator credentials next time I go live. So it takes me a minute to set it up. And since I'm doing 2 platforms, like, it's going to take me a second. So we'll do that next time. But to qualify for 2 back-to-back unemployment claims, first, you need to have made at least $1,300 during your highest earnings quarter. That would need to be from like a W-2 employer. Then you also need to show, quote unquote, some attachment to the workforce. And if you're not attached to the workforce anymore, so since you filed your first claim, you would have needed to do some work. Now that doesn't have to be a W-2 employer. And I'll tell you how that happens in 1 second. You lost my train of thought for 1 second. So you also need to have gone back to work, but that can be self-employment. I'll tell you how that can happen because it sort of happened to me. I got furloughed March 15th of 2020. Then I got a paycheck for more than $1,300 after I was furloughed. So on March 20th of 2020, I got a check for more than $1,300. So that would mean that I met the earnings requirement from my W-2 employer. But and then let's say I was unemployed. Let's say for whatever reason, like YouTube shut down and I wasn't able to do YouTube, which is one of the things I'm doing now. I'm also back at my W-2 employer, but let's pretend I'm not back at my W-2 employer. Let's pretend like I did YouTube for a little while or I drove Uber. Self-employment does count for the reattachment to the workforce portion, but you need to have both to qualify for a back-to-back claim. You need to have the wage requirement of $1,300 during your highest earnings quarter and some reattachment to the workforce. Okay, now over here, you are asking about the appeal. Loretta, I will get to yours in 1 second if you stay in. Okay, Nancy's saying, how should I write out the appeal? So there's supposed to be an appeal form. And then Loretta, I'm going to do your question next, and then I'll come back over to YT. So right now I'm answering questions from TT, and I'll say what the question is. So they're asking, they're denying to provide you an affidavit. Okay, on YT, right, the little red one with the white play button, I have a really good video on how to write an affidavit. It is 6 steps. If they're saying that they are denying the affidavit, try calling again. Now, for the appeal, I would say, hey, whatever the situation is that caused you to have to write the affidavit, that's what you're going to put. Whether it's my employer, the person who was going to give me a job totally closed and I can't get a hold of them anymore. Or like I had some people, they were musicians and they originally sent the affidavit, and actually I think they did this initially, but they included like flyers from shows that they were supposed to play during that time period. Over on TT, there was like, I saw a lot of videos on my For You page about like these girls that like they made like, I don't know, they would spell out like Shelly's Millions in balloons or something. And one girl charged like $700 and the other girl was like, I can go to Dollar Tree and do this for like $10. And so let's say you were going to go into a balloon making business, right? You saw that TikTok and you're like, I could do that for $8. I'm going to go in business. And let's say this happened before the pandemic, and then the pandemic happened and you couldn't start your balloon making business because you weren't supposed to have parties. You weren't supposed to have large gatherings, right? So your business, it failed. Do you have any receipts that you could include? Is there anything off Amazon that you purchased? Amazon holds your shopping history forever. So you can go back like years and years and years, or the time frame that the EDD is asking for, and say, hey, I bought this for my business. A lot of people talk about like cleanings. They were housekeepers and they got paid in cash. Did you buy any cleaning supplies off Amazon? My guess is actually no, because I think cleaning supplies are expensive off Amazon. But maybe a credit card receipt with some balloons if you're a balloon maker, cleaning supplies if you're a cleaning person. Hi, Michelle. I have not seen you in here in a long time. I'm going to try and leave some emojis for you. Boop, boop, boop. It's not working. It is. I got one. Here we go. You get one purple heart emoji. So anything extra you can send them. If it was cash payments, can you screenshot like a Zelle payment or a Cash App payment or a PayPal payment? Not to me, internet world, to the EDD with your appeal. So when you send your appeal, say, hey, I sent in this original document that should have been approved for XYZ reason, but you denied me. Since you denied me, I also found a receipt from business supplies I had purchased, or here's a screenshot of a payment that I received, and also include those. PUA says PayPal also holds your purchase history for forever. You were able to print out expenses from your business back to 2019. That is a really good tip. So yeah, thank you. Okay. And then, Johnny, you wouldn't need really your pay stub. The EDD would figure that out for you. Um, so like they'll be able to pull how much you made in your highest earnings um quarter. Okay, back over to this one. Okay, I'm not an accountant. I manage a movie theater. I talk about the EDD. I talk about some HR stuff like the sick pay in California. I love money. So I'm good with my own money. That's why I know a little bit about taxes, but I'm not like a legal professional. And thank you, Trisha. It's good to see you as well. Okay, I have to get to someone's earlier question that they were asking. Okay, so Loretta says, what if my job doesn't pay supplemental sick pay? We are over 400 employees. Report them to the Department of Labor. Okay, and I say that like menacing, but here's the thing: any employer that doesn't know, it's in the state of California. So I do need to be careful with that because sometimes someone will pop in and they're not from California, and it's not. I don't think it's for health. I'm not sure if it's for healthcare workers, the supplemental sick pay. So it just got reinstated. There was a really good, and I don't know if Mr. Archangel wants to share the company he works for, but there's an attorney, a California attorney. His name is Anthony Zallar, Zallar, and he is on LinkedIn and he puts out a newsletter. Like if you just Google Anthony Zallar, supplemental sick pay, his HR newsletter, and he is an attorney. So what I would do is I would print it up. This just got reinstated and voted and passed through real recently. They were talking about it and then it finally went through. So um what I would do is I would find this article from Anthony Zallar. I have a link in a video on YT with one of his articles about exclusion pay. I don't think that's quite what you're looking for though. I think you need the supplemental sick pay one, and I don't have a video on that yet. So Google him, find a link to the article, send it to your employer, and just be really, really nice because it's a lot, guys. It really is a lot for like employers to keep up with. And I do not think that they're not keeping up with it on purpose. I think it's just a lot of information, right? Um, find them a copy of that letter and say, hey, I saw this online. I think I'm eligible for this supplemental sick pay. Could you please look into it and let me know? Also, Mr. Archangel, I am wondering if you read this too. Technically, employers were supposed to notify their employees that they were eligible for that. I want to say that they were supposed to have that done by February 19th, but it might be 10 days after February 19th. So they might have till March 1st to send out those letters. But it doesn't matter if they don't want to pay, they need to pay. And if they don't, you can report them to the Department of Labor. You can report them to Cal OSHA. You can make a wage claim against them. There's a lot of different places to report them. And while I want to say that an employer is not allowed to retaliate, employers can do a lot of passive aggressive, shady stuff, right? They could, and they're not allowed to do this, but they could like give you shifts that you don't want. Like they're not legally allowed to do that, right? They just might try it anyway, is what I'm saying. So be careful. Just be nice when you talk to your employers because they're going through a lot too. They have a lot to keep up with. I don't think they're trying to be shady, but sometimes like if you come at it and you're my roommate would call it being scratchy. If you're coming at it and you're being scratchy, like even though they can't retaliate, they might try it. And I don't want you guys, like if you want to keep working there and you like where you work, just please, please, please just be mindful when you're talking to your employer. I hope that to anybody that knows me, hopefully knows that I mean that in like a good, encouraging way. If you're going to keep working there, I want you to like have a good relationship with your employer. That does not mean you shouldn't ask for what you deserve. Just be nice when you ask about it because they're in over their heads also. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I'm gonna answer one from over here. Okay, Pee-wee says, oh, no, I read that one from Pee-wee. Did Pee-wee have another question? I saw him comment earlier up. I'm going to take a drink of my hot apple cider, and if you guys could like the video, I would really appreciate it. Over here on TT, you got to press those heart buttons. Over here on YT, you got to press that thumbs up. So you got to pop out of the chat for a second in order to do that. And then come right back. Oh, thank you for the hearts. Okay, Chantel says, do all the employees in Cali have to give supplemental sick pay? No, so supplemental sick pay is only for employers who have more than 25 employees, but I don't think that that's at one location. I don't think that that's even in the state of California. I think if they have more than 25 employees total all across the United States, I believe that then they need to pay it. Also, I have to double check. It might not be for healthcare industry workers. I need to double check that. And again, so I read these articles, I try and read them really careful, but because there are so many different articles, a lot of times like I lose track of everything that's in them, not healthcare workers. So Michael is in the legal and kind of like HR firm. So I do trust him. We haven't met in person, but he seems to have really good information. I have no reason to believe that he's not giving anybody good information. It's tricky on the internet when you haven't actually met people in person, but he does seem to have good information. I find myself trusting him and giving good information. So supplemental sick pay not for healthcare workers. You work for a franchise. It has 2 employees at our location. Does it count? It should, yes. If the franchise that could have an individual owner, Michael, or Mr. I don't know why I said Michael. Mr. Archangel, would you happen to know that? One of the other questions that I don't know the answer to is people are asking like for the exclusion pay if it's a temp agency, how that portion of it works. And I tried to ask Mr. Anthony Zaller, but he didn't get back to me. Definitely, definitely these things can get tricky. Even for someone I consider myself, I got really good at understanding the EDD stuff, but it's really tricky. It really, really is. And there's a lot of legalities. And I think that's why Mr. Archangel is saying, like, yeah, go ahead. So yeah, there should be a posting in the workroom. And that's as of today? Trisha says, nice to see me. Will there be 7202 sick pay? What is 7? Is that the supplemental sick pay? I'm not sure. They just extended the supplemental sick pay here in California. Like they had this other thing called exclusion pay, which was only for if you got sick in the workplace or got exposed in the workplace. And see, hopefully those of you who are on YT, I normally talk a little bit more about EDD. This breaks it up a little bit. PUA, I would not worry if you never got an email or you got a letter in the mail. So that should be okay. Okay, Shannon, let me see what Shannon needs over here. Shannon says, I sent EDD my proof of employment in November and have yet to receive a response. Is that abnormal? Mr. Archangel. Okay. So I don't know if you're not new, don't go watch her. No, I'm kidding. Somebody else was really helpful during the whole pandemic on YouTube. Her name is Jenny Silver, and we're actually friends. We both kind of did this content. So I normally say this a couple times through the live stream. Jenny Silver sent her documents back in November. We know that her documents are gonna qualify. She sent her entire tax return. She was like, they can sift through it. But we know that she qualified. Not the whole time once she started making the big bucks over here on YouTube, but like at the beginning, when she first started making the videos, she did. And so she had to send in PUA proof of self-employment documents. She has still not heard notification that her documents have been accepted. So basically what we're kind of saying, what the advice is like, no news is good news on that. If you haven't heard anything, and if your payments still say paid and haven't switched to disqualified, then it should be okay. So yeah, it is not abnormal to have not heard anything yet. Also with this, when you're sending in your PUA proof of employment, proof of self-employment, proof of work documents, it's not like neat and tidy certification form that the computer reads. Oh, yes, they were able to go to work. No, they were too sick to go to work. It is so individualized, right? So we're sending screenshots and receipts and affidavits and offer letter. There's like so many different things that the EDD will accept. And on the one hand, that's really helpful. But on the other hand, it means a human needs to look at it to determine if you're actually eligible or not. And that's just going to take some time. Okay. I'm kind of jumping around in the questions too. And guys, let me know, is it really noticeable and distracting for you guys that I'm on two different platforms? I kind of like it. I like the variety of the questions and getting to talk to a little bit different audience that I don't always talk to. And I like talking about the supplemental sick pay, which for some reason is really hard for me to say. Ba, 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 ba. Okay. Temp agencies, in terms of the sick pay, are a different ballgame. You fall under the temp workers agency information from contracts. It's a big mess, to be honest. All right. So I'm going to not answer that question and just tell those people that they should, if they think that they are owed exclusion pay and they work for a temp agency, to maybe consult with a legal professional in their area. Okay, Shannon is saying, I haven't called because they said they would be sending me an email. Yeah, I wouldn't worry that you haven't received that yet, Shannon. No, 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 no. Mr. Archangel, I'm going to disagree with you on that. Jenny Silver, she dots her I's and crosses her T's. I know I can say with 100% certainty, or at least 99.9% certainty, maybe it got lost in the mail. But her documents are gonna pass the approval process, but they haven't notified her yet because it's the EDD and they lag. 'Cause they like to drive people crazy. But they're keeping me and Jenny in the ability to make videos, I guess. So yeah, I think it's okay. Sending PayPal statements. So yeah, if you guys get the notice that, don't send anything if they haven't denied your documents yet, but if they deny your documents, the steps that I would take is, number one, I would call the EDD and I would see if a tier 2 rep is able to fix it for you. If they can't, that's when I would send in the appeal, and any additional documentation that you can send in with your appeal is going to help. And if, when you send those additional documents with your appeal, they decide that you don't actually need to go through the whole appeal process, then they won't make you go through it at all. They'll be like, "Oh, this is okay," and then they'll send you a letter that it's okay. All right. PUA, you had your taxes done and submitted your Schedule C affidavits, flyers, a business plan, and a 1099 for your helper. It cost you $750 because you had to pay the tax person. That sounds like it's money well spent, though. Okay. A fine. Yeah, you might. Okay. I think Pee-wee's saying that he filed his taxes late. So, Mr. Archangel, this is funny because some of these people on YT especially, I totally know them and I know their whole story. I think what Pee-wee's saying is that he wanted to send the EDD his taxes in order to net Sinet. I'll answer that in 1 second. I'm gonna take one question for the other side. Anyway, I think Pee-wee filed his 2019 taxes late, in order to have that actual Schedule C to send to the EDD. So I think that's why he's got the late fees. Okay. They said it had to be my customer's affidavit. So that shouldn't really be true. Aw, thank you, Hector, for saying that. If you could give the TikTok video, press it, those little hearts don't cost anything. But I think it makes TikTok be like, oh, we should show more people her videos. I would appreciate that. But I'm glad that my videos helped relieve some of your stress. You are very welcome. Okay. So here's the thing, some of the reps are saying that it is supposed to be like a client, like the person that you worked for who is supposed to fill out the affidavit. But if they're refusing, right, then that's all you can do. Do you have any like screenshots where they sent you a Venmo payment or a Zelle payment or Cash App, something like that? Or any text messages from them during the dates that they're asking for, where it's like, where maybe they say, hey, like, since we're only supposed to have people that live in the household with us in my house, I don't need you to come over and do XYZ job for me. If you can take any screenshots like that, send any additional documentation. PUA, me either. I haven't done my taxes for 2021 either, because that's just now. So there wouldn't be late fees. We have till April 15th to send in our taxes. Um, so yeah, so Moni Medina, see if there's anything else that you can find to send in that would further validate your claim. Also, if your affidavit really was true and correct and they're just not accepting it, they do really prefer it from a client or your employer. But basically, like, if you just cannot get that, sending in something's gonna be better than sending in nothing. Okay, I'm back over to these questions. Okay, so Netsanet wants to know, where do we check if it shows that it is paid? So, I definitely have a YouTube video on that, and it's been a little while since I've done it. But you're gonna log onto your UI Online homepage. Then you're gonna go to, I have to think about this. I believe it's like payments, then history, then transactions. I might have that in the wrong order. I definitely have a video on that. I don't remember my own instructions because, like, it's been so long. But basically, you're gonna see all your transaction histories. You're gonna see all the payments that the EDD sent you, and they would either have a status that says, like, paid or disqualified. Disqualified is a good indication that they aren't going to accept your documents. So paid would mean that they're paid, that they're in good standing. Disqualified would mean that they've now gone through them and they, after you sent in your documents, they don't think you qualified anymore. I know another status was some, I believe status can be appeal. If it says duplicate, that usually means that you sent in, like, you did your certification online and then you also mailed it in. So that's how you want to go about that. Um, Wants to know if in-home ear piercings could be considered self-employment. She has Amazon purchases. So here's the thing on stuff like that. And this is true for even like hair care providers and hair care and like beauticians and nails and things like that. Be careful with that because that requires, even though it's just ear piercing and you can get a kit on Amazon, you are supposed to be licensed to do that kind of work. There's like certain like health standards and things like that. Um, so she would need to be careful with that. Like, I wouldn't want the EDD to then like go and report her for something else. I'm not sure if that would count. I just want to be honest about that. Um, they might question that, right? I'm just going to tell you my kind of initial thing is like my best friend that rents out my garage uh, to do work from home during the day. They pierced my ears in a park across the street from school on recess with like the dirty earring from their ear right out of their ear into mine. It was really gross. And my ears one day, maybe you guys will notice they're totally pierced like lopsided because I know this one's way down here and this one's like in the middle where it goes. Um, so I don't mean that with any judgment. Like maybe that was really her plan, but like you're supposed to be licensed to do that kind of thing. Hi, Jenny. Jenny, I was just talking about you. I don't think I've checked in really recently. You still haven't received your notification that your PUA documentation was approved, correct? We're still all operating off the no news is good news um kind of thing. Andy, who do you love, me or Jenny? Anyway, we're both in here, so you can love us both. um, So yeah, just be careful with the ear piercing thing because hi Andy. Well, it's good of you to stop by, and it's nice to see you. Okay, so Tech Revised, and then I'm gonna do a question over here. Says, I just started a job. So would I owe money on the 1099-G from 2021 PUA unemployment? Taxes are so personal and individualized. It's really hard to say. If you just started the job, we're in 2022. So everything that you've earned and been paid on since January 1st, that's going to go on the 2022 taxes that we file in 2023. There is a standard deduction. So like you might see this amount that you got from the EDD and be like, "Oh my god, that's so much money. I probably didn't pay enough in taxes." But when you actually sit down and file everything, there's the standard deduction, there's other deductions based on like if you have dependents, which are generally children. There's just so many different things that can affect that it would be impossible for me to say, and I'm not a tax professional. So I would just fill out the paperwork through H&R Block or through TurboTax. That should be like the free version, and it should let you know. Okay, so Jenny says no notice from the EDD. Okay, I have a new theory, Jenny. Okay, so I know that you said that you sent in your whole big long tax return because you were like, let the EDD sort through this mess on their own. They're going to ask for it this late. They can sort through all of it. I believe I heard you say that in one of your videos or on one of your lives. So here's my theory, right? Because some people, even people that have told me that they're using my form on the affidavit, I have heard some people say that's disqualified. So no guarantees, but I've heard lots of people also say that it's worked. And some people are finding out in as little as 10 days. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that maybe there's like a pile that's like, this will be easy to sort through. And those are the piles that are like a 1-page affidavit or like 1-page Schedule C. And then I'm thinking that maybe there's like another pile for people who sent in like their entire tax return, and that maybe that goes into a pile that's like you sent it in because it was easier. Well, that makes sense too. But maybe there's like a pile where it's like, okay, well, this one has multiple pages, so we're gonna need to look at it a little bit more. Like that's what I'm thinking. That's my theory. You just published a video saying the same. EDD will most definitely tell you if you're disqualified. Yes. And there's some theories that they are letting people know who were disqualified know before they're notifying the people who are okay. And Jenny, like I'm 100% sure that you're, well, I said 99.9 earlier. So let's stick with that. Like maybe yours got lost in the mail or something. But I'm sure that what you submitted qualifies you for the claim, because I like to say you dot your I's and cross your T's. You're really careful. And they still haven't sent her notice that hers are approved, and we know they're going to be. So I'm not worried until until Jenny hears. So she hasn't heard. And then it's just, it's got to be a human looking through these, because it can just be a variety of different forms that were turned in. Mr. Archangel. Jenny, I don't even know if I want to tell you this, girl, because you got all the ideas too. I'm calling it TT. So I've got TT going on my phone, and I have YT going over on my laptop. And Mr. Archangel works in like HR and legal, and he's been popping in. I found him over on TT, and he's been answering some questions over here on YT as well. He seems to be a pretty good source. The ED asked for this, so you need to fix it. Yeah, kind of. Okay. Let me do another question over here from TT. Schedule C is only used. Yes, that is true. That's true. Schedule C you would only be able to provide that if you were self-employed. Okay. Moni says, we get an appointment and just clarify by phone and that's it. Sometimes, if you call and ask to speak to a tier 2 rep, they can clear it up and make you not have to go through the whole appeal process. Sometimes people are calling, they're spending all that time on hold to talk to a tier 2 representative. They talk to the tier 2 representative, and either the tier 2 representative is rude or they just tell them that they're not eligible. But sometimes if they get a rude one on like the first try, that won't help. If they try again, then sometimes that second rep seems to be more helpful. Also, try reaching out to your assembly member and see if they can get your case all sorted out. Finding the Schedule C is easy. You know to look for the yes. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, Jenny, because you sent them like a few more pages. Right? You didn't just send them your Schedule C, right? I thought I heard that you sent like the whole tax return. Anyway, so maybe the schedule, if you only sent your Schedule C, then there goes that theory. Okay. I think Jenny, I don't even want to tell you this either, but I will. You should just start all your videos until you get your proof of that your documents were accepted. You should just start all your videos off with that. Let people know. I feel like I'm going to start all my videos off letting my viewers know if you've received your notification that your documents were accepted or not. I'm like half joking, but also like half not joking. Schedule C, yes. Okay. All right. I'm going to do another one over here from TT, and then I'm going to head out for the night. Okay. I might need to do a couple. So Gloria says we sent in the appeal form and several documents. And I think, hi Heidi, curry is the best. 30. I like curry. Am I hungry? I might be hungry. Appeal appointments. So there are appeal appointments. How should I write the appeal on the screenshot of my potential employer denying to write me? So if you asked your employer and they denied writing one, I would just screenshot that and I would say, I tried to get the person who was going to give me a job to write the affidavit for me. Here's a screenshot. You could either save that to your photos and then like take it somewhere and print it. I think you can save that as a PDF on your phone and attach that and say, look, here's where I'm showing you that I reached out to them and I, in good faith, asked them to write an affidavit for me and they said no. And so all I have is what I filled out on my own. And in that case, even if you did have to go through the appeal, I don't know that you would win, but if you have a text message that shows that you tried to get your employer to write a document for you and that they refused, that seems like you'd have a pretty solid case. Do remember that if it's your employer, if it was someone that was going to employ you, you're supposed to have like the rate and the date you were going to start and your wage and the location of the business. So, and I only say that because, this information does need to be truthful that you're supplying, but if you're being truthful and you can screenshot where that person said that they won't do that for you, I would definitely submit that. PUA said the IRS is extending to 4/18 of 2022. 3 more days. But I'm glad that you have till your birthday. I think don't wait until your birthday to file your taxes. But if you're getting a refund, that might be a good present. I hadn't read that they're extending it till April 18th. Okay. Taylor says, I do retail arbitrage and resell online. Will PayPal statements qualify as bank statements for the EDD proof? I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. I would just explain. So even if you're not sending in the affidavit, right, I always kind of recommend sending a short paragraph to the EDD about why you're sending what you're sending. So I would say, hi, my name is Taylor. I run a eBay store called taylorgang.com, or like, don't type that in, guys. Like maybe you're like a tailor. Anyway, I run an eBay store. I sell this. As you can see, here are the transactions that I received income for. I didn't use a traditional bank for these payments, whatever that reason is. I would explain all of that. Then I would kind of, again, even if it's not officially an affidavit, I would say, I'm providing this to prove my eligibility for my PUA unemployment claim. And then go from there, see what they say. I feel like that couldn't hurt. You're paying this year. Yeah, I owe this year too. Oh, and it's going to be a lot. So yeah, I'm not in any rush to fill out mine either, except for Jenny Silver. I know that you're worried, and I did pay her to be my business coach, and she said to get everything in order. I'm struggling a little bit. I had a really bad day at work. If you would have caught me at the beginning of this live, I was pretty weepy. I was practically crying. It's just one of those days. Anyway, I don't want to wait too long because I don't want to Jenny, are they going to make me pay 2 months of quarterly estimated taxes if I do it in April? Or will I just, because we'll already be past March. I don't know. I'm going to try and file my taxes because I'm going to need to do quarterly estimated taxes this year for sure. So I think it is what it is. That's why I'm in such a hurry to grow YouTube. But because of the job, I can't grow you. It's a whole, it's a cycle. I'm going to break that cycle. I'm going to get it figured out. It's going to be okay. But I'm stressed. Anyway, it's okay. It's okay. We're going to breathe. But the little baby Yoda doll, he's been sad the whole stream because he's not happy. It's not been a good day. Anyway, it's all right. First quarter estimated. No, I know that. Okay, so I'm clear on. Maybe you'll know this. I don't know. Let's say that I don't pay my taxes. I'm just going to talk to Jenny, even though she's over there. I should invite. I'm not using StreamYard. Otherwise, I could have totally invited you in. I used it yesterday, and then today, it all went out the window. So I know that I'm going to owe my 2021 taxes plus my first quarter. So quarter, that's going to be the first 3 months of estimated taxes for 2022. But let's say that I drag my feet, because it's a lot that I'm going to owe, and I don't file until April 15th. Would I owe 2 quarterly tax payments all at once? Or not? I feel like you might. I'm mentally prepared for that. At least I'm going to drag my feet. You're going to publish what you owe. Put it in there. It'll make me feel better. Maybe Baby Yoda will smile because it's going to be, I know it's going to be more, girl. I know it's, all right, as bad as my taxes are, as much as I'm going to cry when I have to pay them, I know Jenny Silver got to pay some more because she worked really hard and she made a lot of money, and I'm really proud of you. So we'll smile anyway. That's not for being happy that you owe on taxes. This is for being proud of you for making a lot of money from your own business. And I hope to make enough too. But oh, girl, she told me before I officially paid her to give me some coaching. She was like, Shelly, you should really put aside 30% of everything you make for your taxes. And I was going good towards the end of the year. And then that roof broke. And then I was like, I'll pay Jenny. I took money that I had saved to taxes, and I made the executive decision that it'll be okay to spend some money to hire Jenny. And I was like, I'll just make it back by April. And then the stupid roof broke, and I was like, well, now what are we going to do? And in theory, the answer would be make more YouTube videos to pay for that, but that hasn't worked out. Anyway, all right, guys. So you're going to make a video on what you owe. I was thinking about that too, but let's be honest. I'm so far behind. I don't know if I'm going to get to it. You work as a massage therapist. I need a massage, girl. I've been reading a lot about lymphatic massage lately. Okay, I am babbling. Okay, let me see what's going on over here on the TT. Okay, so, hi, Veronica. So over on TT, you didn't include an address for the lady's house. I think it's going to be okay. Okay, bye, Nancy. You have to send what you have, right? You just have to try your best to communicate with the EDD. And if you're not able to communicate, and by communicate, I just mean if you're not able to get them to understand, right? If you're trying your best to get them to understand that, yes, you really were self-employed. Yes, you really were going to start cleaning for someone, that kind of thing. And they just will not through the letters, right? Because it could be entry-level people who are new that are opening these letters. So, and because the letters can be so different from each person to each person, it's possible that they're making some mistakes, right? Not on purpose, but it's possible that they're making mistakes. Hopefully, if you do have to go all the way through the appeal process, once you're able to explain it to a judge in your own words, hopefully the judge will be like, yeah, idiots over at the EDD, you shouldn't have even made her go through the appeal process because everything was on the up and up. That's what I'm hoping happens. Okay. So, all right, Jenny, good news. So April 15th, I'm going to owe a boatload of money. It's gonna make Baby Yoda. I'm gonna have to sell Baby Yoda. Maybe no, not really. I don't know what I'm gonna sell. Feet pics. People have been asking for the OF. No, I don't know. I don't know. Kidding. Unless, but yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna owe a lot. Put it on a credit card and try and pay off the credit card at a 0% interest, which is like, I'm like, Shelly's Millions financial advice. Don't do that, but got to do what you got to do. But that's good to know. So April 15th, and then, but April's would be for March. I don't know, whatever. I'll owe what I owe, and I'm hopefully it was a good investment. It was. I think we have a follow-up. I have a lot of questions, but I'm going to just write them down so that I don't babble at you like for way too long. And then that'll be our follow-up call 6 months in, I think. Okay. Goodbye to the people who had to say goodbye over on TT. I was gonna go. What happened? I started babbling. Yeah, Darren. I would file, yes. So when you file your taxes, you definitely want to include your 1099-G with that. And yeah, I tend to think that even if you think you don't have to file your taxes, it's always a good idea. Like, what if it makes you eligible for some program or some stimulus or something that because you filed, you don't have to wait to get it? And there's not anything like that I know of. I just know that, a lot of times in order to qualify for these stimuluses, one of the first requirements was that you at least had your taxes done. And I should be careful to say that, like with the Golden State stimulus, that one you needed other sources of income besides just unemployment to qualify for. But it just seems like they're able to, like, whenever you are owed money, it seems like you can get it faster if you've done your taxes. So that's why I would recommend it. Okay. Audrey, check with a tax professional. Yeah. If you have large deductions, you'll be flagged and audited by the IRS. That is true. I'm going to have some large deductions. Now, I don't know what Audrey was saying. Oh, shoot. Dawn sent her affidavit and got okayed within 7 days. Oh, thank you for letting me know. I appreciate you like telling me and then stopping by in the live. Okay. Audrey is saying, do a video on various deductions you can take as business expenses for the self-employed. I have a long list of videos that I need to do. Since Jenny Silver is making a video on that, I bet she'll say a lot of the things that she did deductions on. Also, I can point to things. I'm going to deduct that sign. And that sign, it says Shelly's Millions, which is what I call my business. So that's pretty clear that that's going to be a valid tax deduction. I use this little green guy. He normally sits back here. So he's in the blue room, which color of the room, that's how I call it. So it's in the blue room, which I use exclusively for business purposes. He never leaves this room. He's always somewhere in here, but this isn't really a business purpose, and if it was, so I wouldn't try and write this off. Also, clothes are really hard to write off. And I'm not a tax professional. And like Mr. Archangel is saying, like, ask for your individual situation. Ask a tax professional. It's possible if you're driving to multiple different places to do massages on a day, you might be able to deduct some business mileage. If you had to replace like a massage table or the laundry for the sheets on your massage table, perhaps, or like lotions or oils or candles, perhaps, right? But then Mr. Archangel's right, it could potentially flag an audit. Although, here's the thing, right? I'm going to share this too. My coworker, who I'm pretty sure was a secret millionaire. I say secret millionaire because I was always like, "You're a millionaire. You have all this property. You must be a millionaire." And he was like, "Shelly, leave me alone." He's like, "They're not worth that much." Who has multiple houses? Who has like more than one house who isn't a millionaire? And you also live in California. Come on now. I wasn't born yesterday, secret millionaire. Um, I'm hoping I can be a secret millionaire one day, except I'll just blab and tell everybody on YouTube. But so anyway, my point is he got audited once and he was like, it wasn't really that bad. He was like, I tried to tell them that 100% of my cell phone bill was for business purposes. And he was like, the IRS was like, come on, buddy. We know that that's not the case. Like, we know that you called your mom from that cell phone. Like, we know 100% of that wasn't business use. And they're like, how about we call it 50%? He was like, okay. It's not like, at least in his situation, it didn't seem that bad. It seemed like they come, they sit down with you, they have a little chat, you drink a little coffee, and you're like, oh, I didn't know. Sorry. Sorry, I tried to deduct my whole thing. Like, why are audits so bad? Maybe Clear Value Tax needs to make a video about like why everybody's like, obviously, like if you try and like say something that's not true, like you could go to the, what do they call it? The big house, the pokey. And nobody wants to do that. But like if they're just gonna come and be like, you can't deduct 100% of your cell phone bill, like you can take 50% off, like that doesn't seem that bad. Am I wrong in that? Like it doesn't seem that bad. Okay. Or when you run a negative income debt. Now that's true, but like Mr. Archangel, it's possible that like I'm legitimately potentially gonna run in the negatives this year. Jenny, I don't know if I told you this, but so I really waited till the last minute in 2021 to like pay for things. So I signed up for Kajabi, which is like the people, I don't know exactly what they do. They're not hosting my website. We gotta figure this out. But I have a website now. It's shellysmillions.com. Jenny Silver is the creative mastermind and the creative small business coach that pushed me towards doing that. Well, she didn't push me, but like she made the content. She was like, hey, you gotta make some content to put on here. And I gave her one thing, which I kind of want to change and I don't know how. But anyway, I poked around on there. I logged on to my Kajabi and I was like, oh, which means now I'm going to have to reference the video. We talked about it. I just don't know where in the video it is. I can figure it out. It'll take me a minute, but I can get it done. I'm going to learn all this stuff. Anyway, I paid for the whole year up front being like, oh, I want to deduct this off my 2021 taxes. And it didn't hit, like it was so close to the end of the year, it didn't process until 2022. So I have a nice almost $2,000 tax deduction right at the beginning of the year. At the same time, my income's dropping. Okay, I'm just babbling now. As long as you have the data and paperwork. I do. It just didn't quite work out. So maybe I'll get a big tax refund next year. Hey, I hadn't thought of that. Oh, that's something to look forward to. I'm going to get a tax refund in 2023. No, I'm going to make so much money. Okay, anyway, I am. Araceli, if you're sending in the Schedule C, you probably don't also need to do the affidavit. Okay, I'm going to do the question over on the Talk app. Presley Dirty Puppy, hello. You have to go. I don't see the question there. It's almost like it timed out. Would you think it would be okay to go to labor laws? Yeah, it would. Hold on, Veronica. I'm going to do yours on the clock. That was clever to call it the clock app. I like that. Okay. So, you wouldn't need to do a whole affidavit if you're going to send your Schedule C. I do always like to include like a little short paragraph for them just to really spell it out. Hi, my name is Araceli. I am submitting my Schedule C from 2019, whatever year you were asked to submit. I'm sending my, and if the year you're submitting is not the year that they asked for, I would also include like a sentence about that in that little paragraph, I'm submitting 2019 Schedule C to prove my eligibility for PUA unemployment benefits on the following page. Something like that. Okay. Oh, okay. So let me do a different question on the clock app. I'm going to do 2 more questions and then I got to head out for the night. Plus, Mr. Archangel, you've stuck around on both platforms all night. So, like, thank you so much. Like, I owe you, like, just all the good luck and just appreciation. And, like, probably more than that, but, like, that's what I have. I have a lot of appreciation. Okay. So, Veronica said, what do you think it would be okay to go to labor laws for not getting my sick pay? I do. But with that said, when you haven't gotten your sick pay, no, thank you. When you haven't gotten your sick pay, your employer is not legally allowed to retaliate against you. With that said, if it's a company you like and you genuinely like your coworkers and like your boss and like everyone that you've worked with, even though they legally can't retaliate, some employers it may create like a tense environment, even if that's not your intention or the employer's. And I do want to know, like, no employer is going to be like, woohoo, they called the labor board on me, right? Like, they can't retaliate against you. But is it going to cause it? And it's not supposed to cause friction in the workplace, right? But like on some level, we're all human, right? So I do just want to caution you of that while it's not legal for your employer to retaliate, you know, and you should get the money that you are earned. I am no way saying not to pursue it, but just do it with as much kindness and compassion. Just say, you know what? If they won't give it to you, and if you don't like them, then who cares? If you don't want to work there much longer, also, who cares? But if it is someone that you hope to continue with and that you hope to grow, I would try again. I would just say, you know what? Are you so sure that I don't qualify for this? I found this article. Anthony Zallar, Zallar, is the attorney that puts out those newsletters. Here's this newsletter from Anthony Zallar. He's an attorney in the state of California. It sure looks like I would be eligible. And then you could like fake it a little bit. You could say, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and consult with an attorney and see what they think I should do. I've heard something about the Department of Labor, possibly I just want to double check and make sure I'm not owed anything. They still may not like that, but if you're as sweet as pie when you tell them that you would certainly be within your right to do that. Okay, I'm going to do this question on this platform that's from the clock platform, and then I really do have to head out tonight. Okay, the question is, has anyone sent in an appeal and got denied again? That's the question. Not that I know of officially, and I would be interested to find out if Jenny Silver has other information. I have a couple theories. That's not to say that that won't happen, but so you could have first of all, they're about 6 months behind, last I heard. They could be even further behind at this point in actually holding the appeal. And certainly I have heard of people being denied their appeal, and I believe you can appeal it once more. But if you're denied your appeal, like basically they're just really behind on that. So you wouldn't so if you submit additional documents, right? And here's why we don't know. I think it's just a little too early to have seen this in terms of PUA proof of work, proof of employment, or proof of self-employment documents. So if you sent additional documents and they don't pass, they don't make it so that your claim is now approved, all that's going to happen is that you will actually have to either go in person to have the appeal, or if they're still doing them virtually, you might have to do a virtual hearing. That is in front of a judge. You need to have all your documents ready when you do that. But because they were already 6 months behind, so they're not going to send you, if you send additional documents with your appeal and they don't accept them, that just means that you actually need to have the appeal. And it would be at that point where you would truly find out if it was denied or not. Does that make sense? Now, if you send additional documents and it is approved and they don't need to have the appeal anymore, then they would send you documentation. And that was a really, really good question. So I hope that answered that question. Oh, washer dryer money. It is, Mr. Washer Dryer Money is a very cool channel if you need to do home appliance repairs. And every once in a while, I've never said this in the Graham Stephan mentorship, but I'm one of those people that I'm like, I'll do it myself. I'll find a YouTube video. And then I find a YouTube video and I do like half the work myself. And then I get stuck. And then I start thinking about what Graham Stephan says about how you have to see how much money your time is worth, right? So if I could make, let's say, $30 by streaming live on YouTube, I should do that versus waste 3 hours. And I'm essentially losing money by not hiring a professional. But if you're handy, you should check out Washer Dryer's channel, Washer Dryer Money's channel, if you ever have trouble with your appliances, especially obviously your washer dryer. I actually kind of liked your video. I hadn't seen your channel before. I don't know why, because I like to check out the other channels of the other Graham Stephan mentorship members. And I had been meaning to, and I just hadn't. So, yeah. And thank you. It's tax write-off. The sign, got it off Etsy. I need to have that person like handily linked. But it's good for you to pop in. I don't think I've ever seen you pop by, not in terms of like not inside of the Graham Stephan mentorship. All right. He's really good with stocks. I got to learn that. I'm trying to meet up with somebody else. I want to learn about like options and puts and all of that. If it is broken, hit it with a hammer. Pretty much, right? Or like kick it, or like pound it. Yep. You might fix it. There's a lot of things. And sometimes shaking things tends to work. Okay, you guys, I am actually gonna head out now. All right. So thank you guys so much for watching Shelly's Millions. I go live every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. on YT, not the clock app, and every 9 p.m. Monday. And I'm not sure if I'm going to, dang it, 2 questions came in. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue doing both platforms at once. I would love some feedback from you guys in the comments if you feel like that's working or if you feel like that's not working, if you feel like I'm too distracted or you guys can't tell enough what's going on. I would like to hear that. Okay, Joy. You received EDD for medical quarantine, but don't have a doctor's note because they refused. Would I need an affidavit that I had asthma? You know, I'm not sure about that. Here's where it's going to get a little bit tricky. There would come a point where you potentially would have needed to look for work from home opportunities. So that, but right, you're just trying to prove your eligibility for PUA that you already got. You're going to have to send them what you have. So if you aren't able to get a doctor's note, and if you aren't able to contact the employer that was going to give you a job or whatever your situation was, then you're going to have to send them what you do have. And if what you do have is a statement about your medical condition, then you have to try with what's true and correct for you, right? I would never want to encourage someone to be dishonest. So if that's why you weren't able to start your job or start your business, then that's what you need to tell them and kind of go from there. Okay. Val Jack. Okay. Oh, I want to do this one. I could like talk forever. Oh my God. It is almost 10:35. All right, I'm going to pop off of YT and I'm going to only go to the clock app because your questions are slowing down here, but there's still a couple really good ones over on the clock app. So if you're still really loving this stream and you want more, go to the clock app, the noise the clock makes. Donna's saying like to hit the like button and also to have someone write a letter that you were going to work for them and write an affidavit. That's it. Well, I didn't say it. All right. Okay. Oh, guys, a lot of times with the EDD disqualification, try again. Like try calling and seeing if they'll reverse it. A lot of times a tier 2 representative can. And if that tier 2 representative is not helpful, then try calling again. All right. I'm going to end this on YT. Have a good night, everybody on YT. Hop over to TT if you want to continue this. And then that way I can focus on one thing.